Hey there, brave soul. Tonight, we're cracking open a dusty, plague infested time capsule. Welcome to Europe, 1347, where the food is beige, the smells are aggressive, and the life expectancy is optimistic. Forget the castles, forget the chivalry. The Middle Ages weren't a Renaissance fair. They were a 24/7 survival horror game, but with fewer potions and way more poop. So before we rip open the wormhole, go ahead and smash that like button like it's a rat carrying the Black Death. Drop a comment. Tell me where you're watching from and whether you last more than 6 hours without Wi-Fi. And of course, subscribe for more history with fleas. Now, I need you to do one thing. Dim the lights. Maybe light a candle. Preferably one that doesn't smell like 14th century body odor. Turn on a fan for that medieval ambiance. And take a deep breath. Because you've just woken up in Europe. The year is 1347. The good news? You're alive. The bad news? So are the fleas and rats. And at least one of your teeth is already planning an escape. Your bed? A crusty pile of straw that hasn't been changed since the Crusades. You share it with your spouse, 2 kids, 1 chicken, and a spider the size of a spoon. There's no blanket and no mattress, just itchy hay and the vague scent of despair. Your back hurts. You've been awake for 12 seconds and already stepped in something moist. You're cold, confused, and definitely contagious. Welcome to the Middle Ages, friend. You made it, sort of. Congratulations, it's 1:34:7 and you've survived the night. That's an achievement. Seriously, people died from drafts. But don't celebrate yet. You open your eyes. There's hay in your mouth. Something just crawled across your forehead. You hope it was a bug. You really hope it was a bug. You sit up slowly because your back is 27 but feels like 97. Your bed is a lump of moldy straw inside what generously used to be a barn. Your roommates? Your spouse, still snoring. 2 of your children, possibly chewing on something. A chicken named Gerald. And a plague-era mattress mascot, lice. So many lice. The air smells like a mixture of smoke, sweat, and regret. The window doesn't exist. The floor, dirt. The ceiling, also dirt if we're being honest. You cough, it echoes. Probably nothing. Probably. And what's for breakfast, you ask? Laughs in medieval. Get ready for a wooden bowl of cold gray gruel. That's oats, water, maybe a rock, and the tears of your ancestors. No sugar, no fruit, definitely no oat milk. Just a flavor profile somewhere between wet cardboard and sadness. Outside, you hear the church bell. Time to work, or pray, or both. You're not sure, because you can't read and clocks haven't been invented yet. Welcome to your average morning in 1347. And yes, it gets worse. So, feeling dirty? Good. Because in 1347, that means you're doing it right. Bathing? Not a thing. People thought water could slip into your body and kill you from the inside. Seriously, washing your armpits equals black magic. Touching water equals health hazard. Instead, you've got options. Rub some herbs on yourself. Sew flower petals into your shirt. Or wear a little pouch of lavender and hope no one notices the scent of doom underneath. Perfume? Only if you're rich. Soap? Rare. Expensive. Probably made from lard, ash, and the village gossip. And even if you had water, where would you get it? From the well, maybe. From the river? Oh, great. Enjoy your refreshing splash of dead cow sewage and 3 different types of plague. Also, fun fact, people believe bathing opened your pores, making it easier for diseases, or demons, to sneak in. Which means the cleaner you were, the more suspicious you looked. You smell good? Clearly a witch. Your options: be filthy and safe, or clean and burned at the stake. Guess which one medieval people chose? Spoiler. You haven't bathed since the last solar eclipse, and you're not planning to start now. South. You've staggered through your morning routine, aka waking up in a pile of straw, coughing up smoke, and wondering how it's still 1347. Now, let's talk about your home. Your medieval house is, generously speaking, a barn with commitment issues. It's 1 room, just one. No kitchen, no bathroom, no bedroom. Just a smoky box full of bad decisions and damp goats. The floor? Dirt. Not rustic Instagram cottage core. Dirt. I mean actual dirt. Like worms and goat droppings included. The walls, wattle and daub, which is a fancy way of saying sticks, mud, and the hopes of a dying carpenter. When it rains, the walls sweat. When it's windy, the walls breathe. Very haunted house chic. The roof? That's straw, which sounds cute until you realize it's basically an Airbnb for rats. Also, one spark and boom, instant house fire. No refunds. Oh, and guess what's in the middle of your only room? An open fire pit, no chimney, no vent, just smoke, baby, smoke. Every breath is a gamble. You cry every time you cook, and not just because there's no salt, because you're inhaling a year's worth of oak soot with every turnip stew. But wait, there's more. You don't just live with your family, you also live with your livestock. Because in the 14th century, open concept meant the chickens sleep next to your face. Goats, inside. Pigs, inside. Chickens, absolutely inside. Privacy, never met her. Imagine trying to fall asleep with a rooster screaming into your eardrum, a pig snoring louder than your spouse, and your toddler arguing with a duck over who gets the warm corner. There are no beds, no closets, no door locks. If someone wants in, they're in. If the wind wants in, it's in. If the plague wants in, you guessed it, open door policy. Want to get cozy? You huddle around the fire, wrapped in the same blanket your great-grandfather died in. It smells like smoke, mildew, and unresolved trauma. At night, the house creaks like it's trying to confess a murder. The wind howls through the gaps in the walls, and rats take turns exploring your food sack. You want to go to the bathroom? We'll get to that horror next. But for now, enjoy your one-room, animal-infested, smoky little box of misery. Home, sweet home. Alright, you've woken up in straw, eaten sadness for breakfast, and your house is actively trying to kill you with smoke and livestock flatulence. Now comes the big question. Where do you go when you need to go? Spoiler alert, there's no bathroom, no toilet, no seat, no plumbing, not even a bucket with dignity. Let's talk medieval sanitation, or more accurately, its complete absence. Option 1, the great outdoors. If you're a peasant, and odds are you are, your bathroom is the nearest bush, ditch, or hole in the ground. That's it. That's the whole system. You sneak out at dawn, squat like a goblin behind the barn, and pray that it's not raining, that no one's watching, that the pig doesn't bite you mid-process. It has happened. There's no toilet paper, no privacy, and no shame, because everyone's doing it. Literally. Everywhere. The roads? They double as urinals. Alleyways? Public poop zones? The river. That's your bathroom, laundry room, and drinking water, all in one gloriously contaminated stream. Option 2, fancy castle, fancy hole. Now, if you're royalty, or at least rich enough to own a second tunic, you might have access to, drum roll please, a garderobe. Sounds elegant, right? Nope. It's a hole in the castle wall. You sit on a wooden plank with a cutout, drop your royal offering, and gravity takes care of the rest. Where does it go? Into the moat, down the outside wall, onto the heads of unsuspecting peasants walking below, or just into a pit that hasn't been emptied since last century. Royal ambiance with bonus aroma. And those moats? Yeah, not picturesque little swan ponds. They're full of raw sewage, algae, dead fish, dead rats, and the shattered dreams of hygiene. Hope you weren't planning on swimming. The wipe crisis. Let's talk cleanup. There's no Charmin, no 3-ply, no soft cloud for your royal cheeks. Instead, you wipe with leaves. Ouch. Moss? Better. Hay? Dangerously crunchy. The corner of your tunic, if you're feeling lucky. Or, and I wish I were joking, a random animal's fur or tail. Some people use ceramic shards because apparently hemorrhoids weren't enough. Others used nothing. Just pulled up their pants and let the breeze handle it. And you wonder why everything smelled like despair. The city edition, public nightmare. If you're in a medieval town, things somehow get worse. Towns had cesspits, big stinking holes full of human waste. They overflowed constantly. And when they did, people just tossed waste into the street. That's right, potty bombs from windows above. You're walking to market and suddenly, splat. Someone dumped a bucket of filth into the road and now it's on your shoes. Or your head. Fun fact, that's why rich folks wore wide-brimmed hats and long cloaks. Not for fashion, but as medieval splash guards. There were laws, actual laws, saying you had to shout "Gardy Lou" before dumping your bucket from the window. Did people follow the law? Of course not. Sanitation? We don't know her. There are no sewage systems and no sanitation workers, no clean water pipes, and definitely no knowledge of germs. People thought bad smells caused disease, not bacteria. So instead of removing filth, they covered it with flowers. Literally. They hung bouquets near their noses and hoped that would protect them from the plague. And honestly, same. Because when the streets are flowing with sludge and rats the size of cats are sunbathing in your latrine, you do what you can. You pray. You sniff roses. You avoid breathing through your nose for 30 years. So next time you sigh because your toilet paper roll is 2 sheets from empty, just remember, you could be in 1347, squatting behind a bush, with one hand, no hope, and a goose staring you dead in the eye. And if that mental image doesn't haunt you tonight, I'm not doing my job. Feeling unwell? That'll be the demons again. Ah yes, medieval medicine. A perfect mix of guesswork, superstition, and things that scream OSHA violation. Got a headache? That's definitely because your humors are out of balance. Or because Saturn looked at Mars the wrong way last Tuesday. Either way, you're getting bled. Bloodletting was the go-to cure for, well, everything. Too hot? Bleed. Too cold? Bleed. Stubbed your toe? Bleed harder. Your doctor, and I use that term with the loosest definition, shows up in a cloak that hasn't seen a wash since the last famine. He smells like onions, feet, and ambition. His toolkit? A rusty knife, a wooden mallet, a bucket of leeches with names like Biter, Sucky, and God help us all. Oh, and don't expect a diagnosis. The medieval approach to healthcare was basically, you're coughing? Must be a miasma, evil air. Let me wave this burning herb near your face and scream prayers in Latin. Still not better? It's demons. Time to call the local priest, doctor, herbalist, witch finder. Treatment includes burning sage, chanting for 11 hours straight, maybe smacking you with a fish, and of course, more leeches. Have a toothache? No anesthesia. Just bite on a stick while a guy with the strength of 3 oxen and the aim of none yanks your molar with blacksmith tongs. Fun fact, dental work was usually done by your local barber. That's right, a haircut and a lobotomy, all before lunch. And let's talk about plague doctors. Yes, the guys in the long coats and bird masks, they looked like the world's saddest Halloween costume, but creepier. The mask, stuffed with flowers to filter out bad air. Spoiler, it didn't. The stick, to poke you from a distance, or more likely to beat back dying people trying to hug them for help. Need surgery? You're getting it on the same table where someone just skinned a pig. Tools are rinsed, not cleaned, in wine, which makes it sterile if you squint hard enough. And childbirth? If you're a woman, congratulations. It's a death sport now. Midwives use intuition, luck, and divine panic. No painkillers, no C-sections, just shouting, blood, and a prayer to Margaret of Antioch, who, by the way, once exploded out of a dragon. So yeah, solid medical credentials. So if you catch a cold in 1347, you don't get NyQuil and soup. You get leeches, incense, fire pokers, and maybe a priest yelling Latin into your face while your cousin throws up in the corner from shared air. Good luck. So, you died. Congratulations. That was the easy part. It finally happened. Maybe it was the plague. Maybe your bloodletting appointment went a little too well. Maybe you sneezed in front of the bishop and now you're possessed. Either way, you're dead. But cheer up. Now you get to experience medieval funerals, which are, let's say, efficient. First, there's no coffin. Wood is expensive. You're lucky if you get a shallow ditch and a priest who isn't already dead himself. Most likely, you're getting tossed into a plague pit. One giant hole shared with a few dozen strangers, 3 goats, and your neighbor Greg, who may or may not be faking it. Second, last rites? Maybe. If the church isn't busy burying the other 100 people that died today, your best hope is a half-asleep altar boy mumbling something over your corpse before sprinting away from the smell. And the body prep? Forget it. No embalming, no makeup. Your funeral outfit is your everyday clothes, which is probably the same worm-infested tunic you've worn since last harvest. Bonus horror. Sometimes people got buried alive because diagnosing death in 1347 was just a guy holding a mirror to your nose and guessing. So, if you hear screaming from underground, no you didn't. Also, there's no headstone, just a vague memory and a bad smell. But hey, your soul might go to heaven. Unless you died on a Tuesday during a solar eclipse while eating salted pork. Then it's limbo, sorry. Meanwhile, your family is now down a worker, up one haunted blanket, and scrambling to figure out who gets your one wooden spoon. So yeah, death in the Middle Ages was basically die fast, rot faster, and hope nobody steals your shoes before you're cold. Now get comfy in your dirt blanket, champ. You've earned it. How to not die in 1347. Medieval life hacks. Spoiler, they didn't work. The Black Death is still out there, coughing politely into the medieval wind. So what do people do to protect themselves? Well, science isn't quite science yet. It's more like throwing holy water at problems and hoping they go away. Here are some top-tier survival strategies from the minds of 1347 Europe. First, smell protection. They believe disease traveled through bad air, called miasma. Solution? Just carry something stinky, but like fancy stinky. A pouch of crushed lavender, dried rose petals, literal poop of a healthy cow. Don't ask. Or a sponge soaked in vinegar and unicorn horn powder. 100% not unicorn. Bonus, shoving herbs up your nose like medieval Vicks. 2. Dance it out. Yes, dancing. People thought non-stop dancing could chase away the plague. So entire towns had plague raves, spinning in circles until they passed out. And if that failed, well, at least you died to the beat. 3. Hygiene. Kinda. Remember, people thought bathing equals bad. But now some folks got suspicious and started washing. Occasionally, which was seen as weird. If you were too clean, you were probably a witch. So the trick was to be just clean enough to not die, but dirty enough to not get burned at the stake. A delicate balance. 4. Public screaming and flagellation. Why stop at praying when you can scream and hit yourself with whips? Enter the flagellants. Groups of people who march through towns whipping themselves to punish mankind's sins. Spoiler, did not stop the plague, did increase sales of whips and moral panic. 5. Blame the cats. Again. Nothing says we're out of ideas like murdering cats because they work for Satan. Unfortunately, this led to more rats, which led to more fleas, which led to more plague. So really, the cats were the heroes. Rip Whiskers, humanity wasn't ready for your service.